Okay, hello. Today I'm gonna try out a couple of things with regarding of IIMF. There has been updates since the last time I did a video. They released 4 days ago a new update for all the tools and the file specification. These are the changes. And you can check this out later. While I was checking what was new, I found out a couple of things that I knew it was possible, but I didn't know how to do. Well, first of all, one of the updates is the IIMF player. It's not named IIMF player anymore. It's called IIMF deck, short for decoder. Uh, you'll see that this is more clear now, how you're supposed to use this, or what are the use cases. So, the IMF tools project, the idea is that you start with an ADM PWF file that comes from Air Production Suite. So this will give you ADM files compatible with IIMF. So from the ADM file, you can convert to IIMF, and then you can continue using IIMF files, or you can merge it into a MP4 file, also with video, but the video is optional. Um, you could just distribute an MP4 file that only has audio as well. You could as well just write text profiles by hand, but that's a lot. You see that it's a lot. So trying to write this by hand, it's a lot of work. So I don't think you wanna do this. But you could perfectly do that if you know what you're doing. I already knew that FFmpeg was compatible with IIMF. I just didn't know how to exactly use it. But good news, the guys maintaining this repository uh, added examples of how to actually do that with FFmpeg. You could actually avoid using the Ear Production Suite, avoid writing text profiles by hand, and you can just use regular WAV files. What I mean by that is you could mix surround sound that is 5.1 or 7 point something or 9 point something in your favorite tool and just export a linear PCM WAV file, which is pretty much the master. And then with FFmpeg, you can just convert the master to IIMF. So I'm not gonna install the Ear Production Suite today. We can see that in a different video. We could explore writing text profiles in a different video. But today, what I'm gonna try is the FFmpeg approach, which seems easier. You have to install less tools. It's just FFmpeg and your favorite music production DAW. So I don't have to use the encoder or decoder or anything. So I just have to go to this section. And you'll see that they give you examples of how to do stuff. Well, first of all, let me say the FFmpeg approach works, but you may not be using all the capabilities of or all the features that IAMF allows you, because IAMF is not just for immersive audio, it's also for broadcasting. So you could use IAMF just for broadcasting features, like having different presentations of the same content, meaning you could have submixes of the same mix. I'm from a Spanish speaking country, and one of the main issues that we found in cable TV is that um, the audio sounds way better in the original language for everything. And when you switch to the dubbed version in Spanish, it sounds terrible. Like the sound effects are way lower than the dialogue. It just sounds awful. Meanwhile, the original audio in English sounds way better. The correct sound levels for the sound effects and the dialogue. So a tool, well, a technology like IMF will help you do that. It will help you present the same mix correctly to different devices. Whenever someone develops a player that taps into the different submixes of IIMF, eventually you'll have a UI that lets you choose between submixes. And actually, you can already do that with FFplay, which is a tool that comes bundled with FFmpeg. You can cycle through the different string groups. So you could potentially encode a 5.1 WAV file to IIMF as well, and it will create a 5.1 mix based on the original one, and sub mix that is the binaural, meaning it's two channels but with the science to make it sound surround in headphones. So this example right here will give you the original 5.1 surround, and then the binaural two channels or stereo. There are multiple examples on doing stuff even with ambisonics, but I think you need special microphones for that. I'm not an audio engineer or music producer or anything like that. I have curiosity about this project. And then they even give you an example of how to create an MP4 file that has the embedded IIMF audio inside. Okay, so let's go to the terminal. This is only for Windows. Here you'll find instructions for Linux or macOS. For Windows, dev winged install ffmpeg. This one is the full version. Full build has ffprog and it has ffplay for playback. So you just have to run that command. Okay, now it works. Sorry for that. So I had to uninstall it and I ran winged uninstall and then it again. Anyways, I closed the terminal, open the terminal, and now it works. Okay, so I don't really have a 5.1 surround system. This is just my computer. What I do have is an audio interface, but it's a stereo, so just two channels. The way I fake having a surround system or immersive audio at all in this computer is I paid for Dolby Access, which gives me like simulated Dolby Atmos in my computer. It will work if I plugged a bunch of speakers. I could configure that, but I don't have a bunch of speakers. At the moment, I only have my headphones. So I configured that to have Dolby Atmos. Usually use this setting detailed. What does this actually do? Well, my audio is still just two channels, but there's basically a proprietary algorithm by Dolby that makes an original 5.1 signal or 7 point something or 9 point something, makes it so that it sounds correctly spatially in 3D uh, in headphones. It's something like binaural, but I guess it uses their own proprietary science to map it correctly to headphones. Basically, I don't have a surround system. I have to fake it, but it kind of works. The problem is I don't know how this is gonna transfer over a stream because this stream is stereo. It's just two channels because my OBS is configured for a stereo stream. So you're probably not gonna hear some stuff that I will. And here in the spatial sound, it has this configured. So if I was to turn it off, I will hear, in theory, the same as you. I'm just gonna explain what I hear just in case you're not hearing the same thing. As I said, I had to pay for this. So the point of IAMF is avoiding paying for Dolby Atmos. It's an open source alternative. For our test, I have installed Reaper and I'm gonna create a test project with this. Gonna create a new project. Two channels by default. But because I have Dolby access, even though I only have two channels physically in my audio interface, this guy actually lets me hear 6 channels because of the science of this thing. A tone. So insert virtual instruments on your track. All plugins. Reader. Okay. And arm for recording. For the output on. And now I get this. Arm for recording and record. Now I can mute this. And this is just what I need is a tone. Yeah, now it works. Okay, so I have now the file of tone. Now we don't need this anymore. Two here. Okay. Now we need to display the master track. And click on the route. And here we need to match the round sound number of tracks, which is 6, which because 5 speakers and 1 subwoofer. Here is multi-channel source. Okay. Don't need to view the master track anymore. Now, third new track. This is the this one. Actually, this is the one that worked for me. Yes, surround I had issues. So for this demonstration, let's just use the one that works. So this is gonna give you this. Let me save the project. Current project. This one, 6 channels. Okay. So real surround in here. I also have to change this to 6, 5.1 surround. So you'll see that the speakers are left, front, right, front, center, front, and then subwoofer for low frequency. Then um, left around and right around. Let's say I'm gonna channel 1, gonna map it to the left front speaker. Channel 2 to the right front speaker. Channel 3 to the center front speaker. Channel 4 to round left. Channel 5 round right. And then 6 will be buffer. We could label this track left front, then track right front, track there front, left front, right front, low frequency. So all of this need to disable the master and so no masters and just the Ria surround track has them. Okay. This is left front. So left front is channel 1. So I have to add a new send to Ria surround. The 1. Okay. Number 1. Front. Left front. Channel 1. Okay. Right front is channel 2. Ria surround. This one is center front channel 3. So Ria surround 3. This is left front. Channel 4. Yes, around. This is right around. This channel 5. 5. And then this one is yes around. Low frequency. We channel 6. Okay. So you could potentially play around with height and pound this vertically as well. That's everything is in the floor. Yeah, you could potentially raise some of those so that it sounds higher, stuff like that. For now, I'm gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna close this and then what I'm gonna do is in real surround, I don't touch anything, but in LFE left front, I'm gonna start using the tone. Yeah, so tone, and I just copy the tone, play it back, and play it back. So left, right, then in the center, and the back, left, then right, back, then the round. Okay, so I heard this correctly. I don't know if you're gonna hear it correctly because my computer is simulating 6 channels thanks to Dolby Access. So I heard the tone starting on the left, then it goes to the right, in the front, always in the front, then it goes to the center front, and then heard it in the back left, and then in the back right, and then this supposed woofer, but this is not actually a low frequency tone, so I don't really know if this last one is working really. But anyways, we can just ignore the last one maybe. Uh, the rest is all working correctly. Then we can save the project. So we have a test 5.1 mix. We need to export it. So in Reaper is called rendering. So we need to rendering. Watch out for this because this file is not actually a stereo. 6 channels. I'm gonna save it as 16-bit PCM. So render one file. And I have a software called Media Info installed just to check the amount of channels. Okay, date, right. Let me play this. Okay, this is working correctly. I don't know if you hear it fine, but well, trust me, bro, it's working. Okay, so we have 5.1 audio file that we can use to as an input for testing the FFmpeg commands in this one here. So these quotes here were giving me issues. last night when I tested this command, and I had to remove this quote. So I was left with NUS equals 5.1 without the quotes. Otherwise, it will give me an error. The idea is to convert that 5.1 WAV file that we just created to an IMF file. So we save the effort of mixing this in the ear production suite or the effort of writing text profiles by hand. So let's copy this command. Clear this. We go to the downloads folder here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open a text editor, and that's because this character here, the backslash, was giving me issues as well. So I had to remove those new lines. So I'm gonna select all of the backslash and just move it and move the new line. So I am left with this giant one line command, and I'm gonna actually disable wrap. So word wrap. Okay, so this is one single line, but it's not, I don't have to do the horizontal scroll. I'm gonna replace all the with a single space. Okay. So the input file is this one that we just created. Copy path, and I put it here. And then I'm gonna remove this quote, copy this name, and we're just gonna add .iimf. So that's the command. Copy this, or actually we can just dot slash so that it gets down saved in the current directory, but with this name. So let's try that, and it worked. So it tells you what it did. So it mapped channels from the WAV file that was in linear PCM to the channels that IIMF file would need, something like that, and then create the 5.1 audio element in group 0. And then in the stream group 01, a mixed presentation, default mixed presentation, then a submix, which is stereo. Okay, something like that. Anyways, as they say, Here it creates a binaural uh, two channels. The 5.1, the original 5.1 just maps it to IAMF. Anyways, so that command created an IAMF file. It looks small compared to the original one, but you have to remember the original one is a master. The IAMF is more like consumer um, sizes for the files. We can actually test it in the web demo. We have a web demo now, and you can drag and drop a file we just created. So yeah, it tells you that decoded the stereo, coded the binaural, can actually test. So this is regular stereo. You should be able to hear it whatever you're seeing this video. Okay, and this is the binaural version. Um, as it says somewhere here, things to listen for. The binaural creates the perception of sounds originating outside your head. This is actually the feeling that I get when I hear the binaural version. So regular stereo sounds inside of your head, but binaural, it actually kind of tickles your ears from outside. It's a weird feeling, uh, but when you start messing around with uh, spatial music, like Atmos Music or Sony 360, uh, that's the uh, that's the fun part about the 360 music or 3D music or immersive music. The fun part is that it actually has direction. So it kind of tickles your eardrums from different directions, which is a weird feeling. But there are sound engineers that are really um, making use of the technology in a smart way. So you'll hear individual objects in the songs just moving around in 360 degrees or uh, changing direction vertically or diagonally or horizontally. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's the new music. So yeah, IIMF will let you create immersive music pretty much um, when it's fully adopted. Now, this brings me to the other part. Now we have an IIMF file. What do you do with that? So I used to think there was not any way to play the IIMF files directly. but there are two actually at the moment. There is this web demo, and then actually FF Play actually plays the IMF files as well. So we can actually play the file with FF Play. FF Play, and then we run, yeah. So dot and backslash because it's in this directory file. So I can hit enter and it's gonna play it. Okay. And that's the default version, the 5.1. But the IMF file has the advantage of having different presentations or submixes in the encoded in the same file. So I can actually, with FF Play, there's a shortcut. When you press A, it cycles through stream groups of audio files. So you can quickly press A to change to the stereo version. So FF Play again, but once it opens the window and starts playing stuff, I'm gonna hit A once to switch to the stereo version. So this stereo version that just played, you should have heard everything correctly. Yeah, part of the reason of why I'm doing this video is so that you can test for yourself and compare notes with me and the team developing this technology. So you can report issues in GitHub if you think it's not actually working and explain what the issue is, and hopefully you can actually help this technology get better and improve and get adopted faster. But yeah, I don't know if you can tell the difference between the first and the second, but you can see in the logs here that I switch from audio stream 0 to audio stream 1. Stream 0 is the 5.1 version, and stream 1 it's the stereo version. I believe I'm reading this correctly, but I may not. I may be wrong. But yeah, let's play it again. Yeah, this is skipping the center for some reason. I did this yesterday and I wasn't having this issue. We can actually test another file. So this one is playing the center channel correctly. I have no idea what I did wrong today. Maybe something in the panning. The panning here. But yeah, anyways, it's mostly working. By all means, do, please test it on your own and figure out if you're having issues or similar results as me. Hopefully, let's help this technology to get adopted faster. What else? So we have IIMF files. Then with IIMF files created by us, we can either use the web player or FFplay or wait for software like PLC to implement playback of IIMF, or you can just use the regular decoder. In libIIMF there's the decoder, and with the decoder from an input IIMF file, you can actually generate the separate WAV files for different sound systems. So you can still create the stereo file, regular stereo file, the binaural file, or the 5.1 mix in separate files and just change between those like the regular multi-track audio files do. When you download a movie that you paid for, right? Say no to piracy, that you legally obtained. Some movies out there come with multiple tracks of audio, and they actually have fallback tracks. So let's say you have a sound system that is not Atmos. So they have like a fallback audio track that is stereo, and it will play in pretty much anything. Or they have a special track that is just the director commentary, stuff like that, and like in bonus content for DVDs and things of that nature. So you could still use IIMF to generate the WAV files and just switch up between those. You don't have to wait for someone to create a player with an actual UI to cycle between stream groups like FFplay does. So you don't have to wait. You can actually use the technology now. It's just in early stages. The specification of the standard, it could change at any time. So it's currently in version 1.1.0. Version 1.0 was released last year, I think. And this will be constantly evolving. What I did see is they are being careful to keep backwards compatibility, because they use protocol buffers, and protocol buffers allow to do that. It's like baked into the technology of protocol buffers. And yeah, this is already in massively adopted software like FFmpeg. So expect to see IIMF soon coming to consumer devices out there, because the people behind this are really big companies out there, members. Yeah, Amazon, Apple, Google, Intel, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, Nvidia, Samsung. Basically, everyone but Dolby. Everyone but Dolby is in the Alliance for Open Media. And they created the AV1 video codec as well. So yeah, this is not just some random guy invented this specification. It's not just one random guy. It's a lot of big companies behind this. So yeah, I expect to see this in Samsung TVs. I believe that's the only thing that's missing, being user friendly. That's it. Uh, but expect to see it soon in DAWs like Reaper, or plugins, BST plugins for that. Um, it's just a matter of time of developers getting into it. I think that's it for today. Hopefully, the recording actually represents what I was hearing, but if not, as a summary, I was hearing the tone in the front left, then the tone in the front right, then tone in the center, then tone in the left, in the left back, and then tone in the right back, and then this round in the center. That's pretty much the demo. I don't know if it was recorded correctly, but yeah. I may expand this in another video with actual panning, because you can automate this channel moving in 3D. You can actually move stuff to the ceiling or to the floor or diagonally, just crazy stuff. Or you can do like stuff rotating in 360, surrounding the listener. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I will probably do more videos about this. Um, Something that I have pending is to check out the ear production suite and actually create ADM files, which is one of the other approaches. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.